Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Hero Movie Podcast, your greatest source for superhero movie discussion in the multiverse. I'm your host, Adam Portress, and joining me today, he wishes he was half the father Jamie Kennedy is, Sweet Sean Kovacs from the internet.
This week I saw a movie that's the third best movie I've ever seen about a dog trying to murder a baby.
And he's twice the dog that Otis is, Bruce Leslie.
I'm a prickly pear, and take that, Hiddleston.
Welcome back, everybody. This week, we are checking out Son of the Mask. We covered The Mask with Jim Carrey on this podcast way back. How long ago?
4 years ago. 4 years ago.
So you looked. Okay, good. Because you know I wouldn't do the work. But 4 years ago, we did that, and we were, even then, we were like, when are we going to do the Son of the Mask? And then, better heads prevailed for 4 years, and we decided to skip past it. But the day has finally come. The reckoning will ensue. We will be talking Son of the Mask from 2005. And though it is from 2005, it will remind you of 1997 like you've never,
you're
thought.
not kidding.
Holy
you are not
moly.
kidding.
But we'll get into all that good kind of stuff. But before we do want to say a big thank you to those who support us over at patreon.com/HMP. Doesn't matter what level you support at. You get pre-show, post-show, and, of course, the Dinger Zone. This week's Dinger Zone, we talk about all the Disney Plus announcements from your Marvels and Star Wars and all that kind of good stuff. And we talk all kinds of crazy things over there in the Dinger Zone, so check all of that out. This week, we've got a new person over at the Patreon coming in at that $5 level. We have Curtis Neenum. I hope I'm saying that correctly there, Curtis, but don't worry, we're getting rid of your old name and we're getting you a brand new one. Sean, what do we got for Curtis?
Curtis, you have the easiest name in the world to make an HMP nickname with, and I'm sure that other people have called you this before, and I don't care. It is my favorite nickname of all time. Your HMP nickname is Dirty Curtis.
Dirty Curtis it is. I think I went to school with a Dirty Curtis in film school, but that's, that's how it works.
Dirty Curtis is the best nickname ever.
Yeah, I mean, you don't trust him around your girl, but it's a great nickname for sure.
I thought you were going to go with a Hal Needham kind of angle.
I'm trying to wonder if Sean knows who that is off the top of his head. I
know who Hal Needham is. Okay. I've worked with Hal Needham.
Is that right? We
at the Cracker Factory.
Ixnay on the Urkway.
We'll
sorry.
It's Ixnay on the Urkelay, everybody. So if you would like to be like Dirty Curtis and all the other fine people over at patreon.com/HMP, sign up today. Again, make it however big or small, whatever it means to you. If this show disappeared, what would you pay to get us back for the next month? That's what we'd like you to just put down in a dollar form, send it to us that way, and get yourself some bonus content in the same breath. It couldn't hurt you too much there. So let's get into it, boys. Here is the trailer for The Son of the Mask.
It's been sleeping soundly for over a decade. Now, this unforgettable legend that was created by the gods is returning to once again change the face of mischief. New Line Cinema presents
Who's the happy baby?
the next generation of mischief.
Mommy.
You said mama. Well, can you say dad? Mother.
How are you and Albie doing?
Our son is bouncing off the walls.
From the director of Cats and Dogs.
I am Loki, god of mischief. Give me my mask.
I think my dog ate it.
This February.
What's happening?
One mask fits all. Jamie Kennedy.
Honey, I think it's time we trade up.
Alan Cumming.
This is a fake. Yes, but it's a good fake. Ow.
And introducing Otis as Otis the dog.
Buckle up, baby.
Son of the Mask.
All right. Alrighty, that was the trailer for Son of the Mask. As we record this, is currently available on Tubi. What do you say we do this?
It's time for Bruce's Comic Book Connection.
Bruce, we've covered it before, but let's see him do the pony trick again.
Well, the reason I knew we did this 7 years ago is because there's only so many comic book connections you can do for mass properties. So I looked to see how long ago it was to see if maybe I could recycle it. I'll let you in on a little secret. I decided I could recycle it.
Yeah.
So The Mask was created by writer Mike Richardson, published by Dark Horse Comics beginning in 1987. Oh, and in case you didn't know, in 1986, he founded Dark Horse Comics. He's also the founder and president of the Things from Another World, a cool chain of comic shops. I'm most familiar with the Portland, Oregon location. Now, according to Wikipedia, he owns a landscaping company that netted $2.75 million a year. And I swear this is a direct quote from Wikipedia. Excellent customer service. Is this a Wikipedia era or another case of some guys have all the luck? I mean, what are the chances of both creating a memorable comic book character and a seven-figure landscaping company? I'd be happy with either of those things, yet I have neither. I'm just going to tell you right now that I don't believe for a minute that he owns a landscaping company. There, I've said it. So back to The Mask. The Mask has had several incarnations in the comics. In all versions, the story initially revolves around a magical mask which gives any wearer limitless power and an altered appearance, characterized by a large set of teeth and a green head. The mask affects the personality of the wearer by removing all personal social inhibitions, causing the wearer to become insane. Take note, the mask doesn't simply make people wacky or goofy. It makes them genuinely insane. Richardson credits a number of inspirations: the Joker and Steve Ditko's Creeper, as well as Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. In the original comic stories, characters who wore the mask would become dangerous and cruel anti-heroes at best, or villains at worst, with ultra-violent tendencies. And it's probably worthwhile to note that the movie was originally pitched as a horror movie, and that the director is known from Nightmare on Elm Street 3. I think it's not too much of a leap to see how the Mask could be a latter-day Freddy Krueger type of character. The title of the comic book originally referred to the mask itself and not the character it unleashed. In early stories, the character was referred to as Big Head, much like Todd and the Monsters. It was not until the films, until the television series that the character became known as the Mask. It's also important to note that one hallmark of the Mask comics has been graphic violence. It all starts in an antique shop where an erotic man named Stanley Ipkiss shops for a gift to give his girlfriend, Kathy. At the store, he buys a mask. The mask speaks to him. Stanley wears it. He's transformed into a superpowered being with an abnormally large, bald, green-skinned head and a mouthful of large teeth. After exploring his new abilities, Ipkiss goes on a rampage, taking revenge on those with whom he's had a grudge. He's my kind of guy. He becomes verbally abusive towards Kathy. She kicks him out, but keeps the mask since it was a gift. Later, Stan breaks into her apartment to steal it, but she puts it on and she kills him. That's what happened there. And I don't know. There's a whole lot of stuff here. I used to write way too much in these things. But the mask hasn't been limited to Dark Horse Comics either. In 2000, the Joker got his hands on the mask, and it was every bit as bad as one would think. In 1997, Lobo was hired to find the ultimate Bastich, which turned out to be the mask. At one point, Stanley returns from the dead as a zombie Big Head, but then the popularity of the mask as a Looney Tunes type character led to what was a slow demise to the comic character. And I've written this 4 years ago, and it was prescient. Oh, well, we'll always have Son of the Mask to honor its memory. Doesn't Jamie Kennedy have a way of leaving a skid mark? I mean, a mark on all his projects. There you go, guys. Can you feel the effort I put into that one?
Yeah.
You know, the cool thing about the Mask comic book is that the character, for the most part, everybody who puts on the mask ends up dying in the end. At least in that original run, you know, like I want to say that there was like 5 different stories that the Mask had, and in all 5 of those stories, the main character of the person who finds the mask ends up dead at the end, and it's a really cool kind of like, it's almost like an anthology because you're not following the same person, and so it takes on all these different.
In a strange way, compared to the Crow, because it's always a different Crow.
Yes.
Or the
Yes.
short-lived ABC series Gun. That's a super.
also
That's a super
always a
deep
different crow.
reference. Yeah.
Man, all those gun fans.
Yeah, the gun was big. Well, if that comic connection wasn't enough for you, let me sell everybody on this sequel that everybody wanted, but nobody asked for. We got Jamie Kennedy sleepwalking through a performance like no one you've ever seen before. Alan Cumming looking like a 1999 scene kid. We got Cal Penn doing the type of characters he says he doesn't like playing, so hopefully this paid him well. Stephen Wright being slightly less sleepy than usual. Bob Hoskins in his most embarrassing role since his turn as Mario in the Super Mario Brothers movie. And Trailer Howard, the only one giving 100% in this movie. Don't believe me? She made me believe she actually loves Jamie Kennedy. We've also got an animated baby that makes that Ally McBeal baby look like the total loser that it actually is. We've got an animated dog that has so many scenes you'll think he was much easier to work with than Jamie Kennedy. We got an animated blueprint scene as drawn by a crazed mask wearing dog. Transformers, Golden Showers via the Blue Danube, Javier Bardem, Skyfall hair, 2005, so you know you're going to get a ukulele cover song. We got the Afrin Nose, a Red Lobster name drop, free use of the Michigan J Frog from having to work with Warner Brothers. We got kidnapping, crotch biting, farting, spinning, slamming, overdubbing, giant hammer smashing, spousal abuse, a shootout with a baby, Super Twister, a ransom reference, Hot Wheels car with asphalt track, a boxing match, all put into a blender by director Lawrence Gutterman, which isn't a made-up name. This movie has everything.
So before we get into it, because there's two big things, two big questions I have. One is, Adam, why did you choose this?
It was available on Tubi.
Okay, so that's the only reason, because you were
Just
like,
about.
there is a sequel to The Mask, we should do it. Okay, and that's perfectly valid.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna besmirch you for that. The second thing is, do either of you know who Damon Harriman is?
I do not.
No.
The actor Damon Harriman. So you've seen him at least one time, I know. He played Charles Manson in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Cool.
And he also played Charles Manson in the second season of Mindhunter.
Cool. Seen both of those.
Same
Talk
guy.
about typecast.
Same guy. That guy shows up in Son of the Mask. And I couldn't believe it when I saw him, because it's when they're at his animation studio thing that it works unlike anything I've ever seen before, where everyone's like hanging out, sort of like it's like a computer company. What Hollywood wants you to think of working at a computer company is like. It's like that. And he literally, it's the day after Jamie Kennedy wears the mask at the party, and he comes running down the hallway and he goes, "Oh man, great job at that party. See ya," and takes off. And I was like, that is the dude who played Charles Manson twice. I love it when stuff like that happens.
Didn't the guy who played Hilter in Preacher also play Hitler in something?
Yeah, I think he was a previous Hitler alum.
Yeah, some things are worse than others to be typecast as.
Well, speaking of worse than others, so let's talk about the fact that what you said at the top of the show here, Adam, which is that you said that Jamie Kennedy is sleepwalking through this performance. And I don't think that's what this is.
It's worse,
I don't
maybe.
think he's sleepwalking. No, man. I think he's... Okay, you guys know I admire something where somebody tries really, really hard, and then like you feel like somebody pulled them aside and said, "Look, you got something good here. Just don't try so hard." But what they hear is "try harder."
Yeah,
that's this movie.
Yes.
That is this movie, and it works for me in a disastrous type of way.
The two things that this movie has going against it is, one, Lawrence Gutterman, and the director of this movie, and two, they have about a half hour's worth of material that they're putting into a feature-length motion picture. Mm-hmm. That is a massive problem, because at the top of this movie, I was kind of surprised with how much I was liking it. And I think the reason why I was liking it so much is because there was a whole lot more of Alan Cumming at the top of this movie. And Alan Cumming is, I can watch him do anything, but I love him as Loki. I think he is great in this movie. He is way better than this movie has any right to be in this movie. And so you have this guy who is an airy sky panel style light, where like just all like everything is illuminating off of him. And then you bring in Jamie Kennedy, who's basically the flashlight on your phone.
Yeah, a wet dish rag.
Yeah.
And it just completely brings everything to a complete stop.
Oh man, I read an actual quote from Jamie Kennedy that said he had just come off of Malibu's Most Wanted, so he was a hot commodity and had lots of control over this project.
Well, what I think I know about this movie, because I might be wrong, but the way that I've heard it is that Jamie Kennedy was supposed to be a side character in this movie. And what ended up happening is that whatever the plan was originally, because Jim Carrey was never going to do the sequel to this.
Right. So the lore is that they offered him this sequel and everything, but after Ace Ventura 2, he was kind of on that I'm not going to go back to any more of my characters kind of thing, which was a smart move for him. And frankly, his career got better on account of it.
Yes. And so, Jamie Kennedy kind of, the way I hear it is that he kind of got thrown into the lead of this movie that he was never supposed to be the lead of. And so he, instead of doing what I think most people would do, which is, oh, no, this isn't what we talked about. He was like, yes, I am exactly like Jim Carrey. And so you get this performance from him that is both bizarre, like bewildering at times.
He's in a different movie.
When he puts on the mask, what is that? What is that?
Now, one thing I gotta say, guys, and sometimes I just get way off base, but when he puts on the mask, it felt to me like he kind of turns into Breckenmeyer a little bit.
He kind of looks like Breckenmeyer now that I think about it.
He wishes he was Breckenmeyer.
Yeah, Breckenmeyer would have been funnier.
He's terrible with the mask on, but like as the dad who's losing his marbles, like his dead fish delivery kind of works for that.
It's okay.
Like later in the movie when he's supposed to be sleep deprived and losing touch with reality, then it works. But like I don't think it's working on purpose.
He should have been the Al Pacino role in Insomnia.
I can't get to sleep at night.
I
so sunny.
I think that there's two massive problems with Jamie Kennedy. One is that he does not hold your attention at all, and putting him as the lead of your movie, especially something that he has no skin in the game on, is a very, very poor idea. The second thing is that Jamie Kennedy goes into this thing, and what I can't figure out, okay, when he's got the mask on. So first, his regular delivery as the mask. What is that? Is he supposed to be cool, or is he supposed to be like a wink, like, huh? See, like this is, I know this is dopey, and I can't tell because I can't remember if this is awesome in 2004. Is this a cool person in 2004?
No, definitely
so
not.
here's now that leads me into this, because this is what I read that was purportedly something that was going on at the time. This movie, I believe, was shot in Australia.
Right.
Now, to my understanding, Jamie Kennedy was none too pleased with going to Australia on account of people did not recognize him and know who he was. Ergo, he was down in the dumps a whole bunch, so he did not like shooting. That's what the internet tells me.
Okay.
For whatever that, I mean, and there may be an ounce of truth to that. There may be more than that, but I could see that because he was awful, like, he had like 2 Scream movies under his belt. He did do Malibu's Most Wanted. You figure someone should know who he is. Jamie Kennedy should be able to walk around in a mall in Australia and a couple people come up and be like, hey, you're the Scream guy or whatever. But I guess that didn't happen, and it kind of bummed him out.
Would you say that they didn't have a good Jamie Kennedy Experience.
Boom! Jamie Kennedy Experience was on the air at the time too, so like he's got a whole bunch of things up in the air. So when he goes to another country and they won't give him the time of day, I could see how that would bruise an ego, especially of a young guy.
But is he supposed to be cool as the Mask?
No, I don't think he is, man.
Okay,
I don't. But I'm going to just say that, like, I was not liking this movie at first, and I think part of it is because Jamie Kennedy is not very good as the Mask. But you can call Jamie Kennedy the lead of the movie, but he is not the lead of the story. This story is about the dog, the baby, Loki. It's about Odin. It might even be a little bit more about Stephen Wright and Cal Penn than it is about Tex Avery here.
But it's not supposed to be. I mean,
that's okay, because I found myself loving whatever mess this was once I got past the first. Like when he's introduced as the Mask, he goes into the party and he goes straight to a musical number. And you guys probably remember that the first Mask had a very memorable musical number.
Oh, yes, I love it.
It's wonderful.
So I'm like, oh, wow, how are they going to try and top that? Because as I've heard Jamie Kennedy franchises say, the sequel always has to be bigger and better, right?
Yeah, he said it himself.
And he jumps up on stage and he starts rapping and like not really good.
That musical
and then he
number
does like intentionally bad country western music, and it's like, man, this is how they try to outdo the incredible like orchestral swing number from the first movie. And this is when it was falling flat. But then once the Mask got off Jamie Kennedy, and once the baby was born, once mom got pregnant and was puking up bubbles, and the doctor told her not included in her deductible, that's all awesome.
There is one point to that dance number though that is awesome. And a total missed opportunity. So they probably should never have put it in the first place. But when Jamie Kennedy's mask turns into Neil Diamond.
Oh, I love that. I thought that was great.
That is the only part of that whole sequence that is awesome. And I just wanted that. I don't need purple wrapping suit guy.
Yeah, they didn't need to make it a medley. They could have just leaned into the lounge act. That would have been great. But the rapping and the country western were both losers.
The Neil Diamond thing, if he was just Neil Diamond the whole time, I don't think that a lot of Jamie Kennedy's Mask performance would have ended up on the cutting room floor, which is totally what I think happened. I think there's a lot that is missing from this movie because of the performance of Jamie Kennedy. And that's why you have this, all of these other things happening in the movie all at the same time. It's because they needed something to make a movie with. And so they know who their star is, because Alan Cumming is in this as Loki way more than he should be.
And the hair is fabulous.
It's amazing, man. Like every line that comes out of that dude's mouth, you're like, oh, this guy is selling this terrible garbage.
Yeah, I mean,
should we lobby for him to be a variant in season 2 of Loki?
That'd be fun.
I just want that would be wonderful. I want him. I want him to do a lot more of the nerdy crap that I watch. That's what I want.
I think a lot of this comes down, like, because when you watch, especially like you said, the musical scene and everything, you really get to appreciate how good of a physical actor and everything that Jim Carrey really is. Because even despite all of that makeup, Jim Carrey emoted. He moved. Everything was very fluid. You saw like a guy who just embodied whatever he was doing at that exact moment.
With Jim Carrey, the makeup and prosthetics were to protect the audience. You can't handle 100% Carrey back then.
Because it was,
you got to have a little buffer between you and him or your brain might explode.
Exactly. And you said it yourself there, Bruce, talking about the source material and everything. It's like, this is supposed to bring out something. And he was so, like, the character is still so very subdued during all of this. Like, he's not animated at all.
The dog's performance was spot on.
Now, yeah.
The dog hates the baby hates the dad, mom left home. Oh, man, it really gets this beautiful dynamic once you get past that opening music number.
Right, and that's the point also, I think, where as an audience, you sit back and go, oh, I'm just watching a live-action animated movie. Like, once you kind of can put that in your head, you think about the whole situation differently, or at least I did.
And
I disagree.
You talked about the place where they work is like what Hollywood wanted us to think a computer company was like. But I also think this was Warner Brothers' home of traditional cell animation taking a stab at Pixar. Because, you know, they have Kal Penn with the ping pong balls on his skin suit doing the mocap and stuff. And also, by the way, did somebody involved in making this movie think Kal Penn was Latino? Because his name is Jorge in this movie.
I don't know. But
they just didn't bother to change it in the script. They're just like, it's on the call sheet. I guess that's his name.
You know, I think in some way that Kal Penn and Jamie Kennedy are friendly, if not friends, because they've worked together a couple of times. And so I think that might be Jamie Kennedy's doing, bringing in Kal Penn. That's just a guess from me. But I totally disagree with you, Bruce. The first 10 minutes where the baby and the dog are going after each other, that's great. It's that it continues for another
45 minutes.
let's be generous and say the next 2 days.
How about like all the stuff where the baby wants to torture the dad? The baby wants to kill the dad, the dog. I mean, you know, when the baby suddenly had 5 or 6 different urine streams at once, I was just impressed. That was very, very artistic to me.
No.
I was eating lunch then, and I was just like, "Oh, great!
Was I the only one who nearly blacked out from laughter watching some of this?
Yes, and you may be the only person ever
to laugh at this.
No, there has to be somebody else who says this is a hilarious movie.
Jamie Kennedy and you.
I did very often just kind of, you know, half slack jawed, going like, "What am I watching? What is going on?"
It is really incredible.
It's a beautiful disaster.
You see, there is so much happening and just so much wasted money happening.
And there's a lot of times when I'm not laughing at the story, I'm laughing at the movie. I'm like, They spent $80 million in this. like they're like, man, this movie's awful. What should we do? How about more of the same?
Hey, that's the biggest thing.
Yeah. The one thing I can say to this movie's credit is that they do go for it. And
100%.
There's no half measure with this movie, and that is the one thing. Well, the one of 2 things I could say to recommend it.
You look at all of this stuff and like everything from camera moves to set design to just all bits of production. Yeah. This is like you just watch and you're like, I see so much money being spent on something that is just so low rent. It's unreal.
It feels like you gave your kid $100 to put together decorations for their birthday party. And they just did a horrible job, and you said, here's $50 more, now fix it. Like, but you didn't get anybody else involved. I feel like there came a time when filmmaking got a little too easy to make like bad movies, quote, bad movies. So now it's getting harder and harder to find somebody who made a bad movie on accident. And I don't mean a boring movie. I mean The Son of the Mask. Like, wow, this is not boring. I will be telling stories about this movie 6 years from now.
Yeah, I disagree. I was utterly, completely bored watching this thing.
Now, did you not think that the baby, like casting this baby, like so much hinges on casting the baby in Son of the Mask? And I swear they found a baby that has the face of a 30-year-old Ken Jennings.
I will say this, first and foremost, it's just this baby, no one wants to disparage a baby, but this is not a pretty baby. You know what I'm saying?
I'm telling you, it looks like Ken Jennings when he was on his run on Jeopardy 15 years ago.
Now that you,
baby, I never put that together.
I like it though.
That is Ken Jennings baby. Yes.
Like Ken Jennings is not a tall guy. I had to check the credits to make sure he wasn't playing the baby.
Just make
Jeopardy
sure.
babies.
and like there's so many weird. Did you guys ever watch Two Guys, a Girl, in a Pizza Place?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, because this is the girl, Sean.
No, I looked up her bio.
And I used to watch that show, and watching that show, like, you got the feeling they were expecting her to be the star, not Ryan Reynolds, like the way the show was set up and everything. And then you see her in this movie, like they were setting her up to be the next Téa Leoni, for what that's worth. That's kind of how I felt they were setting her up for. And then I'm thinking, the time this movie was made, having her cast, they probably could have got Ryan Reynolds for the Jamie Kennedy role. Would that have been interesting?
I mean, at least you'd had more than one character coming out of the gate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like he could
Deadpool style.
He could do.
But the problem
things.
is, Ryan Reynolds would be great as the Mask, but anything outside of the Mask, I don't believe that man is down on his luck. You know what I mean? Like, that is not.
Yeah.
A little too handsome.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes,
that's true. He shows up at work, he gets a promotion before they even ask him what job.
Same time, I mean, as Stanley Ipkiss, Jim Carrey, not a bad looking dude.
No, not at all.
Yeah, but he can make himself look quorky and
he can
funny.
ugly
Come
himself
on.
up.
Yeah, you've seen Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
That guy wasn't pulling when he went out to the club. but yeah, man, it's like that John Hamm character from 30 Rock. That's Ryan Reynolds' life.
But she's really great. I think that she's like a solid actress.
I hated that her career maybe it did go somewhere, and I didn't know
She's
about
a monk.
it.
She has all the money in the world.
She got
show
some,
lasted for
okay,
20
she got some
years.
syndication money, boy.
Never watched an episode of Monk, so I didn't know she was on that. Is it any good?
It's great, and Tony Shalhoub is a treasure, and you should watch that show. It's great.
Yeah, I mainly know Tony Shalhoub as that weird alien thing for that one Alien franchise.
He is an amazing actor, and
actually, I love him in The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
He's literally good in every single thing he's ever done, even in the terrible movies that he had to be in the beginning. Even in 13 Ghosts, he's great.
My Tony Shalhoub is in Wings
or something
that
like
was,
that.
That was what I was saying. My Tony Shalhoub is Wings. Tony Shalhoub.
Tony Shalhoub is amazing in everything he's ever been in.
Yeah, good for him, man. Good for him. I've not been amazing in many things.
Too
so
bad the rest of the cast can't stay the same. Oh, except for the only returning cast member, Ben Stein.
Yeah, Ben Stein is like, I mean, come on. Ben Stein is Ben Stein.
They got him for a day, and they're like,
look, if you expect anything other than Ben Stein.
We connected the movies together with this guy that we clearly got for, next to no money. He'll come in, do his little role. He probably just dressed himself and everything. Just come in and what you wear.
There'll never be a CGI Ben Stein because CGI has too much human emotion. So,
but there was CGI Ben Stein, which is what I was going to say. Is that with all of that CGI that they did with Ben Stein in this movie, I would have guessed that he only had done a day, but with all of those 90s computer graphics, he was there for weeks.
Yeah, at least a little bit.
Now, with the first movie, do you remember the dog's name in the first movie?
I thought it was Stanley, but I could be. No, that's his name.
Stanley was Jim Carrey, yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Eddie?
The dog's name in the first movie was Milo.
Biscuit.
Milo. And Milo is
Otis.
That's hilarious. But Milo is, of the two dogs, Milo is the better actor. And that's not to pull anything from Otis. Otis did a terrific job. But the dog in the first Mask movie is one of the best animal actors I've ever seen.
Is he the dog from Frasier?
I don't know, but he is an amazing actor. That dog can give you double takes. That dog can give you a bunch of different things that most actors can't do. That Jamie Kennedy was having trouble doing. The dog in the first Mask movie was pulling off tremendously.
Do you think they made a call to his agent and he turned it down like Jim Carrey?
Yeah,
I think Carrey's not coming back. We're not bringing back Skippy the Wonder Hound.
You're giving me Wishbone money or I walk.
I love it. Wishbone has a driver. Does our dog get a driver? Our dog can't take a cab.
Now, I think, speaking of Wishbone and stuff like that, though, this director came off of his previous movie, Cats and Dogs, which I had forgotten was a movie. And then I watched the trailer for it. I'm like, holy crap, I totally remember the trailers for these things coming out. Didn't
that have a sequel too? Yeah, I do remember. Like Cats versus Dogs?
We might be getting into that director's hold oeuvre. at the end of this episode.
It sounds like he could have been great for that podcast I used to listen to, Dog Eat Pod.
I tell you though, I watched the trailer for Cats and Dogs. It looks better than this movie. It kind of looks like it might be a little bit of fun in comparison to Son of the Mask. It's like it's that
Son of the Mask was pretty fun for me. Cats and Dogs I saw, and it was nowhere near as much fun.
I don't
as
know,
Son of
that
the Mask
little
for
fluffy
me.
cat with his it's good for me. I'll take it. But no, the movie.
Am I remembering correctly that the cat is the bad guy, right? And the dogs
Yes.
are trying to.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
That's Rule Dogs Drool. That came from that movie.
And the cat's name is Pussy Galore.
That's the sequel.
So what's
Seriously, that's the sequel, Rise of Pussy Galore.
Oh, that's right. Now now that I do remember
You thought I was making one of my corny, ham-fisted jokes.
You
And I
can't
was really, the world is a dad joke. We are in the dad joke simulation. That's where we're living.
so what's the cat's name in the first movie?
I think it's Blofeld Fluffy Pants or something.
Boy, I am checking this just because if you are correct on this, I will
There's
have to
no way
murder
that
you.
cat's name is Blofeld Fluffy Pants. That one I did just make up. I thought, I have some goodwill. I can sell them on this one.
Fluffy Pants is a good name for a cat.
Especially like the it would be the conceit is that the horribly evil murderous cat has a name like Tinkerbell. Like that's just how that stuff goes.
Yeah, that feels like some real Pets vibes right there. The movie Pets.
Yeah.
I don't know that movie does have Alec Baldwin, Tobey Maguire, Jeff Goldblum.
Oh man, that's where that budget went.
What a weird cast. I don't know.
And it is the 2000s, so you've got Jeff Goldblum doing a Jeff Goldblum impression at this point.
Oh, here I am. I've just become a myself, basically.
My fingers are waving on the camera, and I have half-finished sentences, and I walk away.
Oh. I always did like the his turn on Celebrity Jeopardy was always.
Rumor has it that Jack Black was given the right of first refusal to replace Jim Carrey as the Mask, and he refused.
Oh wow!
I mean,
Good call by him.
Yeah, I think so. I think that is definitely a good call. I read a couple other little
Do you
facts.
think it's a good call though? I mean,
Yeah.
Jack Black would have made this movie a hit.
No.
I don't know about that. I think the writing is where the really problem comes in for this thing.
It
It's
really
not-
is the writing. The writing and the directing is literally
Now-
what's bad about this movie.
You know what? It wouldn't have been so bad. It's awesome, probably with Jack Black, but I don't know how much of the writing and directing is writing and directing around the limitations of Jamie Kennedy.
Well, there's a good bit of it. I mean, I really do think that he was probably in this movie a whole lot more, and they cut around him. I honestly think so, because when you see him, it feels like there's a few things, like there's a few plot threads that were supposed to be meatier that just never happened. Like they keep mentioning the fact of, the dog and the baby are trying to get dad's attention. Well, that happens once.
Yeah.
Like it seems like that probably happened a whole lot more, and they just cut all that because it's Jamie Kennedy.
I'll tell you one thing I really thought they were going to do, and they didn't go this direction. But at the end, with the big confrontation with Loki and the babies being held prisoner and just knowing sort of the nature of things and how vicious a mom can get when her baby's threatened, I fully expected the Mask to wind up on the girl from Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place at the end.
I would like to know why. I would like to know why that mask does not end up on that lady.
And particularly with Kathy from the comics getting the mask, I thought, there's source material to lean on, and that never happened, which maybe Jamie Kennedy refused to allow it to happen. I don't know.
Or she was just like, listen, I'm in this thing. You should just count your lucky stars.
She's like, I already let Jamie Kennedy slap me for 45 minutes because he didn't get that on the first take.
Oh my gosh. That was the scene where I'm just like, what's going on now?
It's still going on. This is when I'm starting to laugh. I think that clip of me laughing is like, oh my goodness, that he might literally kill that poor. That's why I haven't seen her in anything lately.
Yeah,
you know who would be a great, who would be a great Lady Mask? Maria Bamford.
Oh my
gosh. I can see that.
Could you imagine
That's-
like actually getting her into that thing the entire time? I don't know that she would survive just putting the mask on. Just like from like an actor perspective, I think she would probably just go a little bit bonkers.
She might, but my God, what an amazing job she would do.
The only lady
was
to
a-
ever give me flowers, Maria Bamford.
Oh,
Wow, man. What a bizarre only person to give you flowers story that is.
It's odd on a whole bunch of levels, but it's true.
Yes, I mean, I don't even know where to begin, but your therapist is probably thrilled to see you coming.
It's like, oh boy, he's got some issues.
Why can't I find love? The first woman who gave me flowers was Maria Bamford. No one can ever top that.
You know what? We're all starting to see the stars line up here. Everything's making sense now. I'm confused at how his work works, because they have this Halloween costume thing and everything. He puts on the mask, twirls around, impresses everybody at the office, gets he's going like, you're going to the top office and everything. You're going to be the person who pitched this. And then literally 9 months later, how often do you get a job and nothing happens in 9 months and they haven't pitched anything? Not a single thing has happened for him in 9 months outside of
Now,
having a
I'm
baby.
not saying the people that wrote this movie was jaded, but this is a sequel that came 7 years after the first movie. So they might be saying, is anybody going to believe that something happened this quickly in only 9 months?
It's so weird.
Nintendo Power was still a magazine when they began working on this sequel. I'm not lying. There was a contest in Nintendo Power, and the kid who won the contest was supposed to be in The Mask 2, starring Jim Carrey. And when Jim Carrey said he wouldn't make The Mask 2, Nintendo Power sent the kid $5,000 and said, "We might be cruel, but we're not going to make you be in a movie."
That's not
Kennedy.
That isn't true at all, because the kid won, and it's Jamie Kennedy, and he's the one who
that is the story from now on.
But when asked,
this is the sequel that put Nintendo Power out of business.
exactly.
the funny part is like I read when that kid was asked, it's just like, so what do you think about your move there? He just goes, I made the right decision.
But I did read the kid got a formal apology in the final issue of Nintendo Power.
We'd like to apologize not only that Jim Carrey was not in this movie, but that Jamie Kennedy was in it, and that you were that. But thank the Lord above that we don't have you in this movie.
That's another thread. That's another plot thread that doesn't go anywhere, and I think because it again ends up on the floor, which is the guy at work who keeps getting the jobs that Jamie Kennedy wants.
Chad.
Right. And that is barely a plot line there. And I think a lot of it, I think we just didn't see most of it because Jamie Kennedy is the guy that they wanted to get out of this movie.
And Loki's a shapeshifter. You find out that Loki was Chad the whole time or something. That's a great little twist to put in.
Exactly.
They just left all that on the floor.
Exactly. But you've seen a movie, whereas the writer to this movie has never seen a movie before, clearly.
And that is, anyone who's ever seen a movie could not make a movie that made me laugh as hard as this one. Because once again, I'm laughing at the movie, not with the movie.
Oh man!
But I nearly blacked out at one point. I'm like, people have entire careers where like they don't have to do the kind of work I do, and this is probably their highest profile job. Like, oh my goodness, this is, I either laugh or commit suicide, so I'm gonna laugh really, really hard.
The CGI baby face is the thing of
Beautiful,
nightmares.
isn't it?
It's the thing of nightmares.
It is horrifying.
It's so bad. Like this is like even for 2005, this is not good.
When the baby starts dancing, doing like the hip hop dancing, that's way better than Ally McBeal's dancing baby.
Yes. Now I am glad. Well, I don't know. I'm of two minds about it. I love the fact that they had the Michigan J. Frog stuff in there, and like I swear, I'm like, if this is the whole movie that this baby is just going to Michigan J. Frog his dad into the nut house, I'm like, I was kind of all about it. I'm like,
I'd give it a whole extra star. It would go up to 6 stars if that had been the whole plot of the movie.
It's like I'm just going to make them bananas.
You know what the best character of Michigan J. Frog is, though? It isn't the frog. It's the guy.
Oh, yeah.
It's the guy who can't believe what's happening. And he
look.
And
No, no,
I gotta think, what year was this again? 2004.
that first time where he sees the frog, and the guy, the cartoon literally looks at the camera.
Looks at the camera, and this is like, you got to be kidding me, right?
And the cigarette goes from straight to down. And he looks over at the camera. Come on, get out of here. Get out of here.
Now, was this movie 2004, 2005? Is that what we
2005,
said?
yeah.
So this is like, I wouldn't say it's peak WB, but it's when WB really, really needs to raise their awareness, because we're not that far away from the creation of the CW, which was the kind of the failure of the WB, and their mascot was Michigan J. Frog. Were they counting on Son of the Mask to save their network?
Yes, let's say yes.
Yes.
Did it work?
Let's say that all of those, all the people who were working at the WB at the time, perfectly great people. We all know that. We know that they're very nice people who are working over there, and they were like, come on.
Tom Welling's in the movie theater with both fingers crossed. Saying,
We
come
put
on,
all our
Jamie
money down.
Kennedy.
We put all our money down on the Son of the Mask.
The Son of the Mask live action series will debut if this goes over 100 million at the box office.
Man, we'll be able to have another cartoon based off of this movie.
You know, like when you make the TV show of the movie, like they did with Ferris Bueller's Day Off, or Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure had a live action TV show.
Both great
And
examples.
an animated one.
Well, no, that's the exact kind of example I'm talking about, because those shows don't get Matthew Broderick and Keanu Reeves. They have to get like the TV version of those characters. How do you go low? Like who's the poor man's Jamie Kennedy if you're going to TV? Like, what kind of claim to fame is it being the poor man's Jamie Kennedy?
Oh, no, I got you. What's the guy that hosts?
Guy you call when Jamie Kennedy says no.
What's the guy that hosts that MTV show Ridiculousness?
Yes, perfect call,
Rob,
Adam. I don't know his
nuts?
name, but I'm agreeing.
He's a skateboarder. Like that's about what that's a TV version of Jamie Kennedy, I'd say.
I think you nailed it in one. I can't argue with that.
Not too bad. I just like, there's so much that goes on. And again, that's one of the biggest things to me is how like the camera is moving. There's so much CGI. It's like they planned, and everybody just kept going, yes, check that box. Put it on to the next thing. Go to the next thing. We're doing the next bit. And they just did it. They just made this movie. Of all the movies that they made this one. So, I don't know. All right. Before we get to our final review here and everything, we do have to ask ourselves one very important question is, how does this crazy old sequel relate back 1-to-1 with Sylvester Stallone?
Thanks, Adam. I got a prepared statement.
Oh.
Hey, Mr. Stallone, it's your old pal, Sweet Chauncey from the internet again. Have you ever thought about the most mediocre person you've ever met? I bet you haven't, because no one ever thinks about average. The same way no one ever thinks about the most awesome Honda Civic they took a ride in. And Sly, Lawrence Gutterman is to movies what lukewarm Bud Heavy is to beer. He's the director of Son of the Mask, and my God, is Lawrence Gutterman average. He was handpicked by Steven Spielberg himself after his parents paid for him to go to USC Film School, where he made a short film called Headless that got Spielberg's attention. He turned that break into an interactive video called Goosebumps, Escape from Horrorland. What's that you say? You've never heard of it? I wonder why. Could it be that he is the RC Cola of interactive videos? Probably. From there, he fell upwards, working on a Curious George movie that stalled in development, which brought him to the helm of the 2001 movie Cats and Dogs, a movie that A.O. Scott himself called exuberant fun.
A.O. Scott, come on now.
But then he directed the movie Ants, which starred both you and Woody Allen, who is someone that people worldwide still hail as a genius and think that both he and his wife make the cutest of all couples. How many family members do you think those two have over for Thanksgiving? Do you think they invited over his family or hers? Can you call Ants a success? The reason why I ask, Sly, is because depending on how you look at it, Lawrence Gutterman was either rewarded or punished by being the guy who directed Son of the Mask. I think that the people who gave him this movie were like, we need someone who's the directing equivalent to like Salisbury steak, because nobody loves Salisbury steak, but no one hates it either. And there it is, Mr. Stallone. This week's Stallone connection is the human equivalent to Banquet brand chicken nuggets.
Ooh.
Lawrence Gutterman. I'll try to do better next week. Your pal, Sweet Chauncey from the internet.
I wasn't sure.
It was a very pregnant pause.
He's gone to the Bill Shatner School of Podcasting, and he's come.
So what are the chances that the astronaut that flew the rocket ship with Bill Shatner on it would die before Bill Shatner did?
Is that what happened?
Yeah, poor guy was like he was flying a jet and the jet crashed or something, but very sad thing. But I mean,
where did that happen
what are the
today?
chances? No, it happened like 2 days ago.
But
my Lord.
For a second, I thought that you were just like, oh, somebody died on re-entry and we didn't talk about it. We're just like, Bill's back.
No. It was the guy who was on the whatever you call those spaceships that the private companies make these days. They're not shuttles, rockets.
Well,
maybe?
if it's the one that Bezos made, it's the one that looks like a.
Yeah, we know what it looks like. We know.
Good job, Bezos. What a weirdo. All right. Anywho, here at Hero Movie Podcast, we have our own patented Robin rating system. If you'd like to check that out, why don't you head on over to our subreddit, reddit.com/r/Hero Movie Podcast, right there at the top of the screen. Bruce, I almost am afraid to ask this, but where does Son in the Mask fall in the Robin rating system for you?
This is the absolute best bad movie we've ever watched. Okay, like just think how $40 million would change your life. Any of the three of us, $40 million is life-changing money. That is the minimum estimate of how much they lost in order to bring this film into the world. And all I can do is sit and think $40 million that could have been spent better was not, so that I could see this baby doing some hip hop dancing while the dog tries to kill the baby. Jamie Kennedy's getting peed on in every direction imaginable. He's beating up a woman for some reason. And then Loki is like the son of Mario. And I laughed and laughed, and I'm not laughing at the jokes they're making, but I'm laughing at the jokes they don't make. And that is something that's hard for me to find. So it's like, what I'm trying to say is I want everybody who hasn't seen this movie to watch it. Like, if you have not seen The Son of the Mask, you need to see it. Now, it's not good, but I want you to watch it. It's like a statue of Dick Grayson, but you scrape off the paint and realize it's made out of turds. Like, can I give this like a turd-filled Dick Grayson? Like, it is not a good movie, but it is the best bad movie I've ever seen for this podcast.
A turd-based, say
Dick Grayson.
Dick Grayson. Okay.
A turd-filled Dick Grayson.
What a 8 years, guys.
You don't get that kind of stuff from Richard Roper or whatever his name is.
A.O. Scott can sit and spin. We got a better system over here, Sean.
Take that, Gene Shalit.
Exuberant fun. Man, I don't know how to judge this. Stephanie Brown. I like a couple of things about this movie, but for the most part, this is tepid tap water. This thing, it's made by people who don't know better. They think they're doing a great job, and we all have to suffer. So for me, it's a Stephanie Brown.
Yeah, for me, I was Stephanie Brown as well, just on it because it's not unbelievably awful, but it is certainly not good.
I will say that we will never have that conversation of, did we see that?
No, because we'll have definitely remembered seeing
yes.
This. It is indelible on the mind after you do see it, because it is.
I do have to say that, yes.
There's not something you'll walk away from, because this is not exactly what we'll call a subtle film by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, this is like every other movie, only more so.
Yeah, just turn it up and just let it happen and see what goes. It's not good, but it is one of those things that it's kind of like a crazy accident that you can't stop looking away because it's like, look how much money they spent. Look how expensive this all looks. Why did they make this? Who is this for? Because it's not like, maybe it's because it's a PG movie. And also, doesn't it feel like this was probably PG-13? It felt like there were some bits in there that they probably edited out language-wise and stuff just to, that's the vibe that I got with some stuff.
I think like the urine alone, the like golden shower scene alone should make a PG-13.
There's so much pee. It's I'm like gallons upon gallons.
Just gonna say it. I'm going to say it right now. If he was peeing on a girl, it would have been R.
Oh, that's for sure. So, that's Son of the Mask, everybody. It's available on Tubi right now as of this recording. And if they took it off, it's probably just because too many people watched our show and then watched it on Tubi afterwards. That's my guess. I'm not on the floor at Tubi, so I couldn't quite tell you how that exactly works, but that's my guess. So next, we'll talk about what we're doing here next week in just a moment. Until then, Bruce, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
I'm still having a whole lot of fun over on YouTube, youtube.com/C/Bruce Leslie. I've even got my own Patreon going now. Got like 40 folks over on the Patreon, so that's kind of fun. Just cranking out my anime reactions and reviews and trying to get everything squared away for when some brand new Attack on Titan stuff comes out January 9th.
Heck yeah. Sean, what else?
If you have stuck around to the end of our episode about the Son of the Mask, you know where to find us.
Touche.
That is very true. But just as a quick reminder for you that have stuck around this long, we got Hawkeye coming up, everybody. And so we're going to be doing another Marvel 30 Questions. So check out Marvel 30 Questions. Just type in 30 Questions and you'll see all the podcasts come up wherever you find finer podcasts. So do check all of that kind of good stuff out.
You know, Adam, you should put up the Dinger Zone into the Marvel 30 Questions feed as like a new episode just to get that all started.
Yeah, I think we could do that.
Yeah.
And of course, that'll do it for this episode, everybody. Next week, we're going to be talking Ghostbusters Afterlife. Talk about sequels having a
holy crap! That's next week.
That is next week, my friend.
Wow.
So get your Paul Rudd action on and go see some Ghostbusters. I'm excited for it, especially after the last Ghostbusters, which wasn't as awful as everyone wanted to make it out to be, but it's certainly wasn't
not
great.
Funny.
Yeah,
I mean that's the problem is that like it's an okay movie. It's just not funny.
So hopefully we'll have a good time with Ghostbusters Afterlife next week. That'll do it, everybody. Join us next week for Ghostbusters Afterlife. For Sweet Sean Kovacs from the internet, Bruce Leslie, I'm Adam Porters. Stay super, everybody.
Bye, Marty and Evie.
Who's your baby? Who's the one you love?
You're the only one for me. Who's your baby? Who's you dreaming of?
You're the only one my eyes can see. And let me say in every way you're dynamite. Do you know how good you really are? Please don't let her stray away. I pray each night. Can't stop now, it's been so good so far. Who's your baby?
Who's your baby?
Who's the one you love?
You're the only one for me.
Oh, who's your baby?
Who's your baby?
Who's your baby?
Who's you dreaming of?
You're the only one my eyes can see. Rock on open in your eyes when morning comes. It's the very first thing on your mind. If you had enough, hey, would you give me some? And would I thank you to you, do you find? Who's your baby?
Who's your baby?
Who's the one you love?
You're the only one for me.
Oh, who's your baby?
Who's your baby?
Who's your baby?
Who's you dreaming of?
You're the only one my eyes can see. Who's your baby in the morning? Who's your baby at night? Who you want when you want somebody to come and hold you tight? Oh, who's your baby?